while Jamie Oliver, he banned them from schools while promoting lots and lots of cakes in various adverts on British TV. Like, oh yeah, eat the treacle tart, you muppet. Oi.
Wow.
Hello and welcome to the Abroad in Japan podcast. Probably the best way of learning about life in Japan without actually being in Japan. I'm your host, Chris Broad. We're joined as always by Pete Dawson, British man who knows and loves Japan. It's the first of the year and I've already cocked it up. But Pete, how the bloody hell are you doing?
Starting fresh. You're starting fresh, yes. It's Pete and Chris for 2025. Our hairlines receding. Our stomachs getting larger. All right,
yeah,
my hairline. I would say my hairline is receding, but it receded a long time ago, and it's still looking very recedy today. It has to be said, awful business. Never mind. It's everything's going fine. It's 2025, and it's one of those things where I think I said it on the last show. I get into the groove for a little sort of panicked health kick usually. In 2025. What this is going to take the shape of, I do not know. I'm finding it very difficult to sort of do any sort of weights with the top half of my body because my rotator cuffs really hurt. And what are you supposed to do if the very joints in which you operate your arms are not working as they should, and they give you great pain? What are you supposed to do at that point? You can't work out. What am I? Do I just get fat until I die? What do I do? Help me!
Well, you got to start somewhere. You got to start small and work your way up, haven't you?
Got to do legs then. Got to do some leg days then. I got to work on my peach emoji, so to speak, as the wrestler John Cena once said to me in an interview. I'm working on my peach emoji.
Oh my God. Well, I got here in a taxi a few minutes ago. I was running late, so I hopped in a cab, and the taxi driver took one look at me, and the radio was playing, just some Japanese radio show.
Yeah.
And I watched him pull a CD out, pop it in, hit play, and then I spent the rest of my journey listening to the Beatles.
Yes,
he must have gone,
on.
Oh, white guy, might be British, Beatles, innit? And I would just drive around Tokyo listening to Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away.
What a lovely way to start 2025, listening to the Beatles with an old taxi driver. Brilliant.
What is it with Japan, the Beatles? A friend of mine got kicked out of a bar because he lost his temper at somebody. He was like a foreigner. He was in a bar, and some stranger at the bar was like, "Where are you from?" He was like, "A foreign land." And he was like, "Oh yeah, something Beatles." And he was like, "Why does Japanese people like the Beatles so much? Fucking Beatles!" And the bartender was like, "Get out, you're being rude." And so triggered by the Beatles. Yeah, the Beatles are good. At least
Charlotte is an animal when she's had a few drinks.
Yeah, at least
he's a monster.
The driver didn't look at me and think, "Oh yeah, foreign music. Oh, I'll put Nicki Minaj on. Start playing some radio." At least it was the Beatles of all artists.
Well, you're famously a big fan of Watashi wa Star.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Okane Kasegu.
Very much the song that peppered my trip to Japan was that song, and also Bruno Mars and the Rose character with the song Aperture, which I could not get out of my head for weeks afterwards. And as I made landfall in the UK, it was just arriving in the UK, and I was like, I cannot escape this bloody song. Bruno Mars, after Uptown Funk, you've done it again, you bastard.
And it's better than Watashi wa Star, is it not?
Star.
Is it not?
Star.
It's such a ridiculous song. It's just this guy going like, "Okane Kasegu, Watashi wa Star. I earn money, I'm a star." Honestly. Anyway, let's leave that fucking awful song in the last year.
Have you seen the video?
Yeah, I've seen the video.
Yeah,
just Megan Thee Stallion in like a hot spring splashing around in Kyoto or something.
I had a slightly different opinion before I'd seen the video, that's all. That's all I'm saying, all right?
There's some songs are best left in 2024 because it's a new year, a time for a new you. And unfortunately, you didn't make one of the most recent Abroad in Japan videos that we shot so painstakingly in Nikko, right?
Scumbag. Scum. Why must I be wiped from history? Outrageous.
Poor old Pete. We made a video called
Poor old Pete.
How to Spend 21 Days in Japan, right? It was me and Natsuki across the country. And then the second half, we were going to do like North Japan. And we sort of ran out of time to get this video done, really. And so all the nice scenes we shot in Nikko, just outside of Tokyo, basically got chopped.
On the scrap heap, on the cutting room floor.
All the scenes with Pete got cut.
I think Chris might be scared of my popularity. I think Chris might be scared.
Well, that's because you're a
Ned Flanders
star.
Pete
is
star.
a star. Kidder.
Disgusting.
Kidder.
But we've patched it up, haven't we, Chris? It's fine. It's absolutely fine. The
we-
only reason why I needed to be in any videos was because, as a father,
Tax deductible.
and, with responsibility, A, tax deductible. It's not. B, just explaining to your partner why you're going to be missing for 6 days. It's a big one. It's a big one.
Well, the world eagerly anticipates your vlog that you shot on your camera. And also, we don't let any part of the animal go to waste on Abroad Japan. We will use the Nikko stuff in another video later this year. Probably a video on, like, day trips from Tokyo, right? Because Nikko was the perfect day trip. We'll put the footage to good use. It's really nicely shot, and it's quite fun. So it'd be a shame to waste the goods.
Chris, I've
Not
got
good
I've got
enough to go in the video, though, is it?
I've got
Not good enough to go.
I've got it's like B. You know when they get when TV companies take a second unit out to take some establishing shots or drone shots. I'm the kind of emotional equivalent of a drone shot. It's nice to have, but you don't really need it functionally.
Oh.
It's not good stuff. Actually, I've got news for you, Chris. I have finished my video. It's only taken me a month.
Oh God! How long is it?
And I'm gonna. It's about 5 minutes long. I'm gonna stick it in the break after the before you get to the fax machine in this YouTube video. So if you're listening to this on YouTube, you're gonna get to see it. If you're listening on the old RSS, on the old Acast funded stuff, you won't. But you can head on over to YouTube.com and search for a Broad Japan podcast. It'll be this show.
Some things
basically.
are best not watched. I dread to think. To be fair, I'm quite curious how it turned out. There was a lot of fun in that video.
It's mainly because I forgot to film a lot of the stuff. There's a lot of static pictures in there, but that's fine.
God.
It's like a little kind of how I spent my summer vacation. You know, like old people used to come back from their trips around the world, and they'd have their little sort of carousel, and they'd invite families round. They'd invite people round. And it would just be click, 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 click. I think it's quite retro.
Very good, very good. And do you did you have any voiceover in it or anything like that?
Yeah, you'll hear it. No, don't worry, Chris. You will see it before it goes into the video. This isn't hard coding it in. We'll edit this bit out if it's not good enough. But
No. It stays.
it's me explaining what happened in my little sort of 6 days. You know, we started, made landfall. I drank a load of cream cheese
Makes
cow piss.
sound like a fucking tornado.
We
made landfall. What the fuck?
Came out of the sea, just made my way through a little adventure with you, up to Nikko and then down to watch a bit of wrestling. We had a night out. Saw your mate and he did a bit of dancing. It was good stuff.
Good
you
times.
can't see who your mate is. It's from the back only because I don't want to besmirch his good name. But lots of little static pictures in there.
Jolly good. Well, I can't wait to see it later on in this video.
Good. All right then.
Sense of dread. Anyway, let's dive into our first story of the year. And it's Jamie from Vancouver, Canada. Hello, Chris and Pete. My story's from a trip to Japan back in 2019. To give some context, I've always known that my family has some Japanese background, and before my third trip, I decided to do some family research. I found a relative's gravesite at the Yokohama Foreigner Cemetery and was thrilled to have found some tangible evidence of a long-forgotten connection to Japan. Cut to being in country, and arriving at the cemetery. We took a map of the graves and went on the hunt, but after staring at names on tombstones for some time, we couldn't find the grave. Disheartened and thinking maybe this listed site was incorrect, my partner decided to ask the two volunteers at the front for help. The two volunteers were quite old and spoke absolutely no English. After waffling with our broken Japanese, my partner eventually remembered the Japanese word for grandfather and shouted out, "Oji-san," while pointing at me. That was when things really kicked into high gear. The two old women looked thrilled, and one of them ran off. Moments later, she came back with a man who introduced himself as the caretaker of the cemetery. Could it be him? Is he the grandfather? We showed this man my grandfather's name, and he nodded once, saying, "I'll be right back." A few minutes later, the caretaker reappeared, now profusely sweating. It was the end of May, and covered in leaves and debris. "I've found it," he announced proudly. Shocked and excited, we followed him down a dirt path, through a locked gate, and into the forest surrounding the cemetery, where he pointed to a small stone cross in a tiny plot. There it was, my great-grandfather's grave. The etching on the stone had almost completely worn off, and it was covered in leaves, so I was amazed the man had found it. We thanked him profusely and stayed there for a while to clean the cross and leave a small offering. It was a very cool experience, and I'm super grateful to the volunteers and the caretaker. He found it for us. All the best, Jamie from Vancouver. That is a cool story, actually.
Oh,
that's really like Indiana Jones.
Emotional. Yeah, well, yeah, it's a little bit Indiana Jones.
And beneath the grave, there was a key, a golden key with a note.
It's like, there's something kind of very, very, very. I'm not a big kind of like visiting graves kind of. My belief system is that it doesn't really matter. Like when
your belief,
you know what I mean? I just kind of like if my personal, I'll probably get donated to science or I don't know, chopped up and fed to dogs or something. I don't know, but so I've never been a big grave guy. Grave guy, you'll do it. Big grave guy, but I would say that like there's something very emotionally grounding about a man who was never born there and dies in a foreign land and has a grave there that's been there for nearly 100 years. It's wow. I mean that is something else really. And sort of the man coming out and taking the time to find Jamie's grave is Jamie's great grandfather's grave is a very solemn moment. I imagine really really good stuff.
I think it's cool. I mean, you are talking to the antithesis of yourself here. I'm somebody who actually I do quite like going to graves. Because I'll be there one day, or I'll be thrown in the sea. I don't know. I haven't worked out what happens to me yet. But
you'll probably do something absolutely horrific. I think you'll be cremated and scattered because nobody wants your grave to become a site for weirdos to pray. A cult leader. We all know where this is ending up, Chris. This Lost Bar thing is all good. It's going to be a cult. It's going to be a cult. You're going to have some kind of ricin plot that you're going to get executed for. It's not right. It's not right, Chris. Turn back on your bad ways.
In a grave, and people have to dig me up to get some sort of treasure or some sort of quest. That'd be really cool. I want to become a quest. Who says that out loud?
Your bum is going to be sticking out the ground, and you're going to be filled with gachapon. Your bum is going to birth little gachas.
Shut up.
A lost bar.
But when I was back in the UK, back in I think it was September, Charlotte always makes me do things that I am reluctant to do, like go and dig up a fossil in a cliff, which is something we did a while back. It was kind of fun. It was all right. So my revenge was I took her to the grave of George Orwell. And his actual name is Eric Arthur Blair, and he's buried in a little town about like 25 minutes south of Oxford, in Sutton Courtenay it's called. A very nice, beautiful, picturesque town and little village. And I sort of bumbled through this graveyard, and there he was, buried at the back. And somebody had put like a fucking like a little pig statue there as a reference to
That's
Animal
cool.
Farm.
Animal Farm, yeah.
It's pretty good. It's cool. It's weird to think you're standing above the remains of the man that wrote 1984. It was kind of cool.
Huge.
I like that.
If you're in London, any sort of foreign sort of tourists. Highgate Cemetery is always a good visit. I know you and Natsuki.
Natsuki the movie, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We took Natsuki there for Natsuki the movie because he famously wanted to meet the Sid Vicious, his like grave.
Yeah.
But he's not. But nobody knows where he's buried. He's buried in New York or something. And instead, we just ran across Karl Marx's grave, and that became like a scene in the fucking documentary. And then people thought Natsuki was somehow endorsing Karl Marx because Natsuki left his flowers there because he had nothing to do with them. It was just brilliant.
I mean, I think you could have got. I think had Malcolm McLaren passed at that point. I know Malcolm McLaren.
He's buried there. Yeah, his manager was there. Yeah.
And Jeremy Beadle, if you're familiar with him.
Oh yeah. It is quite surreal going to a graveyard. It helps put things in perspective. What a lovely podcast to kick off the year. Go and look at Karl Marx and George Orwell's grave.
There's
Kick
something
off the year.
life-affirming. There's something life-affirming about walking around I was criticised recently for walking my dogs in a graveyard by listeners to this very show. I'm like, oh.
Really?
My point was that if I was a copse, I love dogs. I would like dogs to be hanging around me as I rest. I think that'd be a lovely thing. But as discussed, I will be executed with Chris for helping him out with his cult.
I'll remember that when I find your grave and I bring a fleet of dogs along with me.
Just to poop on me.
Oh dear. Do you have a New Year's resolution though? We mentioned this in the last episode that we didn't really, other than you're going to try and get fit for the first 7 days and then give up, right?
And then give up. Yeah, that's my usual one. I'm just going to chill the hell out. Quite a stressed out man most of the time. I just need to maybe look after my finances a bit better and just calm the hell down, because I do let things get on top of me a little bit too much. You may see me as a fun-loving, relaxed individual on the show, but
no.
yeah, I get quite wound up about my problems.
Poor old Pete.
I know. Health's the most important thing, isn't it?
My resolution. I kind of sit down at the start of each year and I sort of map out a rough idea of what I want the year to look like. And this year, I'm 35, which for me is quite a fucking scary thing. You know, I'm coming up to the halfway mark, and
halfway mark. I think you've done all right.
I've done all right, but there's a lot. I live a life of fear, and I just don't do things because I'm worried of doing them. And I want this year to be the year that all the stupid, crazy projects that I've wanted to do, I've put off, I'm going to actually try and see them through. And just have fun with it more. I'll admit, last year was a bit.
He's talking about the ricin plot, guys. He's talking about the ricin.
Fucking kill you at this point. I'll get you for all this nonsense.
If he asks,
my resolution.
If he asks you to come and live on a reservation in a mountain, Mount Assor, the Mount Assor boys, if he asks you to join a retreat, just don't do it. Don't do it. It's a trait.
Asso boys. The Asso boys.
Oh, I tasted Kool-Aid for the first time.
Oh,
speaking of which,
oh,
you don't like Kool-Aid? Like I had like an American candy advent calendar. And there was this Kool-Aid in there, right? And I'd never tasted it before. And it's unsweetened.
Drank the Kool-Aid.
Well, I drank the Kool-Aid. Unsweetened Kool-Aid. Have you ever had it before?
No, I haven't had Kool-Aid.
Right.
I haven't had it.
It's not sweet. Like, obviously, it's unsweetened, but unsweetened Kool-Aid is not sweet. It's just some kind of acid, like, and colouring. And something that makes it taste slightly orangey, but there's no sugar in it. You're supposed to add your own sugar, apparently. So what if you're only providing like orange and acid?
Jesus,
it's not much of a snack, really. But I was drinking it, and it was tart. Are you supposed to drink it unsweetened? I don't know. Are you supposed to add it to other things? Oh my goodness, it was. I'm salivating just thinking about how aggressive it was. It was absolutely horrific.
People lambast me for eating awful things all the time, but Pete Dawson is far worse. When you listen to the things he drinks and puts in his mouth, it will shock you. Starting with Kool-Aid, Monster, and all this crap.
That's how we became friends.
But
a big dare.
It actually sort of leads into this story rather well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's about people eating bad things, or good things, depending on how you look at it. I think it's very good. Pete, what's going on in Japan? Tell us about the chicken.
Well, tell us about the chicken. I fucking love Chickmas. FamilyMart chicken. It's not Chris's favourite chicken, I don't think, but Family Chickies, it's up there close as the Konbini store chicken goes. Family Chickie bonus fried chicken fillets, the chain's best-selling item, will be part of school lunches for 15 elementary schools and 8 junior high schools in Sayama's public school system. FamilyMart are going to produce and provide 10,500 pieces of seasoned and breaded chicken that will be cooked at the city's school lunch kitchen centre for the special one-day meal. FamilyMart are celebrating 70 years in the fried chicken business and the FamilyMart Konbini business. So basically they are going to give a load of chicken to schools in Sayama as part of the celebrations. It won't be the main dish, but it'll be kind of part of what they usually eat.
Not the main
Soup,
dish.
salad and fruit, no. I mean,
Blasphemy.
I think, can you imagine the uproar in the UK if a convenience store gave... So, I mean,
Yes.
we really don't really have like cooked convenience store food. We have... You'll get a little Costa machine, maybe some donuts, and like a pasty. You might get a pasty that's cold. Imagine if a pasty started being, hoovered up by school children. But I mean, like, yeah, it's a lot of the reactions in Japan have been, oh, that's a pretty good idea. Family chicken's delicious, and as long as it's not comprising of the main meal for all of this time, for every day of the year, it should be fine. So people seem to be quite relaxed about it.
Yeah, I mean, just the idea, 10,500 pieces of seasoned and breaded chicken. What an image to conjure up. What a beautiful thing. I remember when I was at school, we had turkey Twizzlers, which were these, like, all the bits of a cheap turkey minced up and into this, like, squiggly, twiggly thing. And you sort of hold it up and it was like a coiled spring. And it tasted, it was in a kind of a sweet, sticky sauce and... each bite, you could tell it was something horrific, but my God, it tasted good. And then a few years after I left, I think they outlawed it as food for kids. Like, it was just banned. You couldn't have it anymore, right?
The TV chef went on a massive sort of tirade about it, and they cancelled it all. The old turkey twisters. Never had one.
While Jamie Oliver, he banned them from schools while promoting lots and lots of cakes in various adverts on British TV. Like,
wow.
Oh yeah, eat the fucking treacle tart, you muppet. Oi. And like, it was all very like hypocritical, weird shit. But anyway, bring back the turkey Twizzlers. That's my New Year's resolution. Get the FamilyMart chicken in schools. Well, that's beautiful. What a beautiful.
Yeah.
It's time. If I'd been, it makes times like this, I wish I was still an English teacher working in Japan, so I could be in that room when the chicken gets brought in a massive barrel, a fucking barrel of chicken. Oh my God. All right, we've got. I was going to say it's fax machine.
Yeah,
it's fax
it's not
machine
a fax
for
machine.
listeners. And for people on YouTube, you now get treated to the vlog we've all been waiting for, or not. This is Pete Donaldson's trip to Japan in 5 minutes or less.
Sorry about all the pictures. I just didn't film enough. I'm not very good at this. I made landfall in Tokyo Bay after an arduous 417 days of swimming and checked into the cheapest Airbnb Dogenzaka has to offer. As you can see, 2 single beds. One for me, one for the friends who might want to stop by. Little Hoover. Little cigarette balcony. Hello. Classic all-in-one prefab Japanese bathroom. Oh, they've left me some beautiful odds and sods. Ugh. Not using that, it's still wet. That said, does have great views of Shibuya if you're willing to clamber up the fire escape to the roof, which I definitely was. And so began my Japanese adventure, but not before investigating what battery cell I had in my aircon remote. Ooh. Sunday night and the police are rounding up all the divorcees who've started new projects, new characters over the weekend. Get back to your cubicle, salary man. It's nearly Monday morning. So what's changed in Dogenzaka since I last was here? Well, 2 majors really. There's now a calpis that tastes like cheesecake, and a new insult for your friends has just dropped. Oh, you're such a Kyoto whopper. Monday, jet lag to hell. I started my day watching a woman shave a fish. I'm in Katsuo Shakudo, literally skipjack tuna cafeteria. And they specialise in one thing and one thing alone. Freshly shaved katsuoboshi on rice. Nothing more, nothing less, and with a bloody great queue outside. Then it's off for a quick visit to the Abisu Booze Museum to find out all about the CEO and idea man of the company. Some burned offal with editor of the Abroad Japan podcast video, Banyabat. He didn't edit this one, don't blame him for this is amateurish. After paying the requisite close attention to pigeon feces, I drank a shockingly small can of Monster Energy drink, bought a 35mm half-frame camera and a roll of film, and I made my way to the Abroad in Japan studio for some expired candy and a podcast record on the streets of Japan, Showa style. Once that was done, Chris and myself headed to Tokyo Station for a trip into the mountains. Where are we? We're in Tokyo.
We're in fucking Tokyo Station.
We're in Tokyo Station. I got my big bag of oranges, and we're going to have a sit down on a train for a bit, and I'm probably going to have like. Ooh. We're outside the train. We're heading up to go and see Natsuki. Chris, he's treated me to Grand Class, no, Green Car. And but either way, he knows how to treat a lady. Green Car, that's good, isn't it? Look at the seats. Delicious. Where we were set to meet Natsuki, who met us in an Utsunomiya kombini, where I explained all about my newfound passions regarding cheese-flavoured yogurt drinks. This is becoming an issue. He and Chris spent ages in a walk-in humidor selecting a big fat Cumberland sausage of a cigar, which Natsuki then inhaled. And then we played darts against some teenagers. They won and were not magnanimous in victory. Here we are in Utsunomiya. Utsunomiya. We've just learned that Natsuki knows the word butterfly because it's from one of his favourite songs. And we are... Cho-cho. And we are in a rather weirdly peaceful and quiet city. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning.
It's like a Potemkin city. Like you look around, it's a city, but the streets are empty. There's nobody around. It's really weird.
And there's an astonishing set of like massive electricity sort of substations right in the middle. And I'm just blown away by how dominating it is in the skyline. It just seems to be squeezed in, and they painted it white as if to sort of go, nothing to see here. But it's an amazing choice, I think, when you're building a town, because as discussed on the podcast, Japan has too many towns.
Too many
cities. Cut them down. Just have one big one. While the boys are securing the, as the children say, whip. I'm taking the time to enjoy everything the city has to offer, aka a spam onigiri. Isn't it salty? And off to Nikko, where the clouds just hang out on the side of mountains. Lazy clouds. Welcome to my home. It has many stairs. And then it was back to civilization, and I got to spend a few hours rolling around Granny Harajuku, Sugamo, 2 stops from Ikebukuro on the Yamanote line, and everything is just so relaxing here. You can buy pastry products, slippers, get your body problems looked at, and buy fragile paper statues safe in the knowledge that you're of an age where toddlers won't smash the crap out of them. Still jet-lagged, I needed sugar, but not beans or clams. Clams? Beans? Why is there always beans in everything? What's this? A big boob? No, turns out it's a duck's bottom in a box. Apparently, you touch this for good fortune. It's apparently meant to give you good luck in marriage.
All right, don't do that. Don't be silly.
New insult dropped. Oh, you're such a tartary Albert. What's next? Coolish, obviously. Then Tudokan, a professional wrestling store. If you're into wrestling, either American or Japanese, you're in big trouble because you can buy things like Giant Baba's big 7-foot suit or Bob Backlund's pants, which of course you're going to do. The Hard Off in Sugamo is not worth a visit. Not worth a visit. Then it was time for us to be like the Iceman. Run around Tokyo being cool. Me, Chris, our big night out. First stop, beef burgers.
Well, that was a tasty burger.
That was a tasty burger. We just had a tasty burger. It was
Black
very
House.
delicious.
Black
House. Chris has reviewed that place in the past, and he was like a local celebrity in there.
I went in and they were like, wow, loads of people have come to this shop because of you. I'm like, great, Can I get a free burger? They're like, no.
Nope.
Very good
free,
place.
No free fries.
I don't deserve a free burger. They're so good. And it's good Wagyu beef. So,
It was very, very good, so we heartily recommend that one.
Bar,
5 out of 5. And now we're trying to find a bar.
Chris is a bit worried. He's talking big about this amazing cocktail place, and now he's a bit worried that we're not going to get in.
Then, the celebrated bar rockaholic. And who has the better moustache? Is it Hideo Noguchi, the man who discovered neurosyphilis, or is it me, the man who has it? Then onwards to another rock bar, Kokoro Dokoro, round the corner, playing some weirdly hefty drum and bass tonight. And they may have had a refit in the last few years, but they still saw fit to restore their pictures of Nelly Furtado on their boards and other people. Then Chris insisted we visit the Lost Bar to check on the lifts.
Oh, Chris. That's a light. Where there's blame, there's a claim.
Then I suggested a place that sold CBD joints and vending machines that kind of felt a little bit like Berlin. Thanks, Bloody Angle.
We're still in, what's it called? Bloody Angle. Bloody Angle. And it's an atrocious amount of smoking.
A quick bit of midnight steak ache, and then it was off to a deserted shopping centre.
Some of the very best cones Japan has to offer. They're glued to the bit of wood.
Of course, at this point, we'd had too much fun, and we simply had to depart, pausing only for a restorative hour in a beautiful Tokyo onsen. I'm only joking. I took Chris to a nightclub, where Chris's friend embarrassed us with some excellent moves on the dance floor. Oh well, at least Chris got to enjoy his favourite song from Megan Thee Stallion. Then it was off to bed, because tomorrow was a new day, and an important day, because I was taking Chris to his very first wrestling show, where friend of the show DDT champion Chris Brooks took on Banana Senga and Samoto Asugi with his Calamari Drunken Kings partner Masahiro Takanashi. Also, a small child and an elephant had a fight as well. No scribbling, new insult dropped, a great week in Japan. 10 out of 10. Now back to the podcast. Wow, what a... Woo! Oh my goodness. Guys, stop.
Incredible.
Stop. What a piece of... New vlogger in town.
What I love
New
is...
vlogger in town, Chris. Uh-oh.
I've more in common here with listeners of the podcast on the audio front, because I had to pretend like I've seen whatever that was. So on YouTube, everyone's just seen it. I haven't seen it yet.
The sex scene was gratuitous, Chris. It was a bit much.
God. I hope it was as good as you've hyped it up to be. We've got a story this week from Anne, or rather a question. Hello, Chris and Pete. I have relatives in Utsunomiya in Tochigi. That's where we were, where most of that vlog was shot. So I'm planning on staying there for a few days next year with my husband and 23-year-old son. What are some nice day trips from Utsunomiya that you'd recommend? I was thinking about Nikko, but I don't want to do many temples and historic sites, as we plan to go to several other cities in Japan. Where would you recommend for us to all visit together as a family? If you answer this question on your podcast, could you please tell me what episode it will play on? Thank you, Anne. Email Anne back.
You listen to everyone, Anne. I'm not emailing Anne. She bloody listen to the podcast, God damn it.
There's somewhere I really wanted to go with you on our trip to Nikko. We ran out of time. That was like a ninja village. There's like a ninja town. Okay. Edo ninja town. And that's near Utsunomiya. It's near Nikko. That would be my... And there's lots of people like acting like samurai, just bumbling around town. And that could have been... I really wanted to see you and Natsuki just interacting with all these actors and having like a sword fight. But fate stood in the way. Instead, we went and looked at a lake. But yeah, that gets my vote. And also there's Nasu Highland Park, the theme park, which is quite nice.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, no, sounds good. Utsunomiya was a weird little city, wasn't it? It was kind of like... I guess we went on a Monday. It was like one side it was just like Chinese kind of like street kind of, not vendors, but you know, people who try and get you into bars. They were like sort of a lot of Chinese people getting you into dodgy bars. And then the other side was a bit better. There was nobody trying to get you into bars, but it was an odd little... And the main kind of like thing in Utsunomiya is this massive electricity pylon that is in the centre of the city, and it could not be more in the centre of the city. I just kept walking past it going, they could... Why didn't they plan this better? Why is it in the centre of the... Why is it...
You got really angry about it.
It's just they've planned a city... And they've had to put this bloody big pylon in the middle of everything. It just looks insane. Just angry about the big pylon.
I found Utsunomiya to be the most depressing city I've set footed in Japan in some respects, because so much of it was just very tattered and torn and rough around the edges. Like, I mean, we went to like a shopping mall, didn't we? And around that area there was so many abandoned buildings. It looked very sad and also quite cool. You know, from a photographer's perspective, amazing. I want to go back and make a video. But yeah, it was really sad and not good. The people were lovely, and the food was decent, the gyoza, but something happened in Utsunomiya. I feel like people must have just left it for Tokyo, because Tokyo's on your doorstep, 40 minutes away by train. I'm guessing people just went there instead of stuck around. But
bit of a forgotten city. Interesting, though.
Have a great time, though, Anne. Have a great time. Eat the gyoza. Eat the gyoza. I'll let you answer the next one.
All right. Josh says from the UK, hello, Chris B. I'm preparing for my second trip to Japan in late February, and I have 4 weeks to plan. I've got 8 days free at the start of my trip when I was thinking about going to north to places like Sendai and Aomori. What would be the top 3 places to visit up there? I mean, you're the Aomori man, Chris.
Aomori.
I think that's. I probably would go up to Niigata. I think that's an interesting little part of Japan. But crack out to Aomori. Chris knows what's what up there.
I would agree with your assessment there. I'd say get a Hachinohe with the epic morning market. When are you going there? I've been preparing my trip late February. If you go in late February, you might be all right. There's a big morning market in Hachinohe, though. On Sundays, it kicks off, I think, the first week of March, and it goes all the way around till November or December. It's just shut sort of in January because it's so cold. Big market, amazing place, excellent vibes. You've also got Hirosaki, which has lots of lovely little coffee shops and apple pies. You've got Aomori City itself, which is very hit and miss. It's got some cool things, but it's a very sparse city. Aomori's a funny place. It's a weird place. In winter, quite cold, quite depressing. Unfortunately, Yamagata's good. You got lots of hot springs you could dive into. But just go and have a look around. Go and have a poke around.
Go and have a look
See
around.
what you can find. Or personally, I'd just go to Hokkaido instead. That's just much better. Hello, Chris and Pete. Over the last 3 years, I've been extremely fortunate to travel to 17 countries thanks to my work, and I feel like I should try my hand at YouTuber-ing. You guys being pros, especially Pete, now as we've seen in this vlog.
Come on.
What advice can you give me about some of the non-negotiable things one needs to create videos at today's quality? And on the flip side, what should I stay away from? Thanks in advance for the advice. Quadia from Pennsylvania. That's a cool question.
I would. Fully intend to film everything that you've experienced, but then forget to do so, and then just take pictures. That's my advice. But I mean, Chris is like one of those more obvious successful YouTubers, so it's probably best that he sort of fields this one. To be honest,
I don't know what advice I've got really. I mean, just make a video that you care about and are passionate about. And it's a tough thing because you have to make something you're passionate about, but if you want it to succeed, you've got to answer a question. You've got to solve a problem, basically. You've got to show somewhere that's not been seen before. You've got to tackle a subject that's not been tackled before. You throw your own opinion in. If you're travelling, just focus on making that place interesting and accessible. You can interact with the locals and talk to people. You could share the dishes. There's all sorts of things you could do, really, but just try and find a way to enjoy what the act of making a video, but also plan it out a bit and think of like what you're showing people, because people don't have much time, especially with TikTok and YouTube Shorts. People just race through content so fast these days, and even I'm really struggling to engage with people like I used to, just because things are changing. And I'd say, answer a question, answer it quickly, get in, get out, have fun with it. But yeah, it's a tough business. And of course, go and watch the documentary, The Day Japan Fears the Most, which is about an earthquake, and watch that. But I really enjoy making different types of videos, wacky, silly videos in here, and more serious stuff outside. And I think if I made just one genre of videos, I'd get bored very quickly. For me, I like the fact that every kind of video is something very different and new, and hopefully you'll find that as well. Right, He wasn't listening. It wasn't listening. Look at the football scores. I can see his reflection on his glasses.
It's at 8 o'clock in the morning.
I don't know, football.
I was literally watching your last video to try and get some tips, but unfortunately there's no...
hit the like button.
There's no tips to be had. Hit the like button and subscribe. I would say that with Chris's thing, the last time I've seen him do his work is he's very bold. He's very bold at just starting talking in front of a mic of a camera, and when I was doing bits and bobs, I was like, oh, it's actually quite. You got to get your head round it. You got to get your head into the right space, I think. So be bold.
Yeah, you're pretty good.
Be brave.
Be
brave.
bold,
Be bold.
brave.
Be sexy.
I like it, and that's why people will go from strength to strength. I hope this is not the last vlog we'll see from Mr. Donaldson, but the first of this year. Oh, he's very reluctant. Keep the stories, questions, comments coming in to abroadjapanpodcast@gmail.com or right away in YouTube comments. But for now, guys, have a great start to 2025. We're off and running, and we'll see you soon. I might be seeing Pete Donaldson sooner than you think.
Oh,
wink, wink. Or I won't. I don't know. We'll find out next week.
Joining your cult. I'm not
Join my cult.
cult. Stop talking about your cult.
All right. I'll see you later, guys. I'm off to George Orwell's grave. Bye for now. Take care.